Illinois recorded fewer COVID-19 deaths than it has seen in 6 days, Gov. J.B. Pritzker said Sunday, raising hopes that the state has turned a corner in its fight against the pandemic.
I pray as we move forward that these trends continue, he said at his daily news conference. And if they do, it will be because of all of you adhering to our stay-at-home order.
Illinois was the second state in the nation to order all residents, with limited exceptions, to stay home, and Pritzker said experts credit that with helping to contain the virus. But the state will have to continue to follow the precaution to prevent backsliding, he said.
Despite the note of assurance, the numbers remain stark. The state announced 1,672 new known COVID-19 cases Sunday, the highest number yet, for a total of 20,852. An additional 43 people lost their lives, bringing the state's total to 720, one of the highest in the country.
But Pritzker said the number of daily tests has reached almost 8,000, getting closer to the goal of 10,000 that he says will give the state crucial insight into how well its interventions are working. Illinois' testing rate has been in the middle of the pack of U.S. states and territories, according to figures released last week by Vox.com.
In announcing the lowest death total since April 6, when 33 were reported, a positive test rate that has remained stable and a similar leveling of hospitalizations, ventilator use and intensive care beds dedicated to coronavirus patients, Pritzker said he was cautiously optimistic that the state is headed in the right direction.
Today is one more piece of evidence that it may indeed be happening, he said.
That has led to thoughts of how and when Illinois will restart its economy. Pritzker said Illinois will have to see significant drops in its daily caseload, since he is not expecting the state to reach herd immunity, meaning enough people have recovered from the virus that it ceases to spread, anytime soon.
Given that, he said, he's still trying to figure out when it could be safe for people idled by the pandemic to return to work.
I'm talking to industry leaders about that, I'm talking to economists about that, he said. I'm also, very importantly, listening to the scientists and the doctors to make sure that we do this right. The last thing we want is to begin to open things up and then have a big spike in infections.
In response to a question, Pritzker renewed his criticism of the Trump administration's response to the pandemic, saying it had been inadequate in numerous respects. He said state governments have learned they might be left to pick up the slack in future pandemics.
I don't think that's the way the federal government was intended to operate, he said. But at least under this president, that is how it's operating, unfortunately, so we'll do what we can to prepare for the next one.
The governor also spoke about the pandemic's effect on elections past and future. He defended the decision to go ahead with the March 17 primary despite the threat of infections. The Chicago Board of Election Commissioners has reportedly notified some voters that they shared a polling place with someone who tested positive, saying he didn't have the authority to postpone it, and that polling places took precautions to prevent the spread of the virus.
Nonetheless, he said he favors making it easier for people to vote by mail in November's general election, such as sending every voter a vote-by-mail application, or by creating public service announcements to inform voters they have that right.
Other states have done this, he said. We would not be the first, and we could follow the lead of those states in order to get a situation where we're keeping people safe when they want to go vote but shouldn't be leaving their home.
Jay Kyleman at ChicagoTribune.com.
Twitter at John Kyleman.